In this video, I am going to illustrate how to take input in Java. In order to do that, I am starting with the same program where I end in the last video to illustrate the output. In order to show the demo input, let me first remove these lines which are just printing a message. It does not have any implication in this code. And instead of output, let me Java input. So that is it. Now focus on this rest of this code, and also let me get rid of all these commented out lines with system.out.println. So now what is this code doing? This code is taking a value integer a equals 20, double b equals 30.5643, and then it is basically printing a custom message and then the variable together in different lines. So the custom message is the value of a equals, then the value of a, then again another custom message, the value of variable b equals, and followed by the value of the variable b, like this way. Now if you notice carefully that all the values are already defined, or sometimes we call it hard coded inside the program. That is, the value of a equals 20, value of b is already hard coded as 30.5643. So how can we take an input from user? Instead of printing this hard coded value, I want to take the input from the user and then I want to display it. So now let us see the demo of this Java input. So in order to take an input from the user, you have to use a different library in Java, and that library is called java.util.scanner. This java.util.scanner library, or simply the scanner library, defines all the functions that are required to take an input from the user. So this is a systems library. This is, in our case, it is already defined inside the Java compiler, in this Java Online compiler already by the system wherever it is running. And if you are using if you have installed your own Java in your machine, when you have installed, these library have been already installed when you have installed Java. So in order to import that system library, you can use this line. So just in your Java code, use this line, import, followed by a library name to import any type of system library that have been already installed. So here I am interested to import java.util.scanner library to take input from the user. Well, after writing this line of code, now let us try to take the input from the user. So instead of writing like this, so now let us do something like, instead of A and B, in this way. So let us just, in order to show the demo, let us just define two different variables without any values. So previously I had some value hard coded already, but I just deleted them. Just declare two different variables in Java. One is int a and another is double b. Now my intention is to take the value from the user. How can I do that? In order to do that, you have to do this: scanner sc equals new scanner system.in. A lot of things happen in this line. So at this moment I am not going to explain what is the meaning of this SC or what is the meaning of this new, uh, because those are related to the object oriented concept. This is how you can define an object, but I am not going into the details right now. Just remember that I have to use this line in order to take some input from the input prompt from the user. So here is a scanner, that is this library, and SC is by means of this SC is, let's say, a variable of type scanner which we can use to read some input. And then by this new scanner means it is creating a new thing to take the input from the user, and from where the user will take the input, from where the program will take the input from the user, that is system.in. The system.in basically depicts the command prompt where you can write something, where the user can write something. So this line you have to use to take the input from user, that is scanner. Then SC, this variable can change your name. You can give any name. Uh, this is SC and followed by new scanner system.in inside the parenthesis. All right. Now after you write this line and prepare, now you can use this SC, which is a variable of scanner type, to take some input from the user. How can you do that? So you have to use this sc dot next function. So whenever you will do this sc dot next function, then you can take the input from the user. So let's say a equals sc dot next, or b equals sc dot next. So next is a function inside this sc that you can use to take some input from the user. And the dot next then parenthesis, it means it will take until the next line is reached. That is, it will take the input until the user hit an enter. So let us run this program and let us see whether it runs properly or not. If it runs properly, as you can see, it will take an input from the user and will store inside A. Then it will take an input from the user and it will store it inside B. And after that, everything is just like the previous video. It will print the value of A equals the whatever value will be specified by the user, and value of variable B, whatever value will be specified by the user. So now let us run this program and let us see whether it runs properly or not. So now as you can see, there is an error in the program. So what is that error? Now always you have to remember that whenever Java reads something from the user using this sc.next function, then it reads in the form of plain text, just as a normal string. Now it is your responsibility to convert that plain text or that string to the proper data type inside which you want to read that input. For example, I want to read the first input of the user inside an integer type variable, right? So what do I need to do? I have to use another function like integer dot parse int, like this. And when you will enclose this sc.next inside this integer dot parseInt followed by these parentheses, that means the user input will be read by the Java program first using this sc.next. then using this integer.parseInt, it will convert that input to integer data type, and then it will store it inside A. The same way, just like converting to integer, Java provides some means to convert the string that you will read to double also. The function looks very similar. Like, it is, instead of integer you have to use double, and then instead of parseInt you have to do parse double, and then put this sc.next inside this parenthesis. So just remember these functions. When you want to convert this string into integer, you have to use integer.parseInt, and it is case sensitive. So capital I here and capital I here for integer.parseInt, and you have to use uppercase D for double.parseDouble. Now let us run this program and let us see what this program is doing. So here I click the run button, and as you can see, the program is waiting for the input. So let's give some input for A. Let's say this is 20, and let's give some input for B, that is 30.5643. And as you can see, whatever value I have inserted, that have been printed through this line. So remember, here the user have inserted this value 20, 30.5463. I can choose to insert any other value also to print in the command prompt. For example, let's say I want to print, like, let's say A as 10 and B as 5.78. That's it. And if I hit enter, as you can see, 10 and 5.78 have been printed instead of this 20 and 30.5643. So whatever the user is entering here, that is being printed over here. Now let's say right now the program is just waiting without saying anything, and the user just needs to guess that, well, it is waiting for some kind of input, and then user is giving some input like 10, 5.78, like that. But rather than that, what I want to give the user a nice prompt, so that user can easily understand that, well, the user has to enter a number. So how can I do that? That is very simple. Just what you can do is, before you take this input from the user, just add another print statement to print a customized prompt message. So let's say my customized, so let me use system.out.print, that is the function to print some message, and here I want to put a customized prompt. Let's say enter an integer. Enter an integer. So now if I run the program, this message will be printed first before taking the input, so that the user will easily understand that, well, the user needs to enter an integer. And not only that, so if I want to take like two different integers, so sorry, this one is double, so let me write enter a double, enter a double, or like this. So right now, but first the program will ask for an integer, take the integer, store in A, then it will ask for a double, and it will take the double from the user as input, store in B, and then it should print those values. So let us run it and let's see how the program behaves. So here I'm hitting the run button, and now as you can see, the program is waiting. So let's put like 10, then let's say 5.89, and now if I hit enter, it is printing all the messages. So now the program is much better. First, it is asking for an input, enter an integer with a nice prompt, and then it is waiting for the user input. User entered 10, Then it is asking another nice prompt that enter a double through this system.out.print statement, and it is again waiting for the user input, and whenever the user enter 5.81 it is taking the input, storing in B, and after that it goes to this line through which it is printing the value of A equals 10 and the value of B equals 5.49. So this is how you can manage input in Java. Now, if you are coming from a C++ or Python background, taking an input is not that hard. But when you are working in Java and if you want to take an input, remember you have to use a different library called scanner and all these different things that I have shown as a demo. This is all about the input and output in Java program.